The marble halls of Princeton Law School glowed like polished silver under the soft shimmer of crystal chandeliers. The air carried the warm scent of fresh pastries and expensive perfume, blending with the faint hum of classical music from the string quartet near the entrance. Servers in crisp black uniforms hurried between tables, balancing trays of hors d'oeuvres so delicate they looked more like art than food. None of them could have guessed that the quiet woman standing near the staircase in a simple navy suit would one day hold authority over half of their children's future court cases. First time working the honors reception? A kind server named Maria asked as she passed by with a tray of champagne. The Blackwells can be quite demanding. Ah, yes, the Blackwells. My son James was dating their only daughter, Catherine. Her father, Richard Blackwell, happened to be one of the managing partners at one of New York's top law firms, a man who took great pride in his family's lineage and great interest in questioning my sons. I smiled politely and adjusted my pearl earrings, the same ones I'd worn while delivering a landmark corruption ruling that had cost Richard's firm a fortune just a month ago. They hadn't recognized me then either. From the kitchen came the sharp sound of raised voices and hurried footsteps. Curiosity led me there, and what I saw could have been taken straight from a satire on privilege. Catherine Blackwell, draped in a designer gown worth more than a year's public defender's salary, was berating a young server who looked ready to cry. No, no, no. The Supreme Court justices requested their water at precisely 42 degrees, she snapped. This is practically room temperature. Her voice dripped with the kind of arrogance only old money could polish to perfection. Is there a problem? I asked mildly, stepping forward. Catherine turned sharply, eyes narrowing. Who are you? Where's your uniform? I'm Sarah Martinez, I said evenly. James's mother. Recognition flickered in her eyes, followed by a flicker of disdain. Oh, James mentioned you might come early. The staff entrance must have brought you here. They did an excellent job, I said pleasantly, watching her confusion grow. Though I must admit I expected to be greeting the justices with my son. Before Catherine could reply, her father swept in like an actor making his grand entrance. Tailored suit, slick hair, and a smile that could freeze a summer day. Katie, darling, Justice Williams has arrived. His gaze landed on me, and the smile faltered just slightly. Ah, you must be James's mother. From where was it again? The Bronx Supreme Court, I replied, knowing exactly what image that conjured in his mind. Yes, well, he said briskly. We've arranged for the help to remain in the kitchen during the main reception. Too many unfamiliar faces can overwhelm the justices. I had to bite back a laugh. The same man had stood trembling before my bench last month, trying to defend a corporate client caught in bribery charges. He hadn't recognized me then either. Mother, a familiar voice called from across the kitchen. James. My son looked every bit the rising star he was, confident, dignified, proud. Catherine, he said, his tone firm. We talked about this. It's fine, I said softly, touching his arm. I'm quite comfortable here. Richard Blackwell adjusted his tie, smirking. Given your background, we thought you'd prefer something less formal. Not everyone is ready to mingle with Supreme Court justices. James took a step forward, but one look from me was enough to stop him. I gave him the same calm, warning expression I'd used in countless courtrooms before announcing a verdict. Perhaps, I said lightly, we should all focus on the reception. I believe I hear Justice Williams discussing the Martinez decision from last month's circuit ruling. And right on cue, through the swinging doors, came a familiar, commanding voice. Where is Sarah? I was hoping to congratulate her on that brilliant opinion. It completely changes how we handle corporate accountability. Richard's confident smile froze. Judge Martinez, a young clerk called out breathlessly, poking his head into the kitchen. Justice Williams is asking for you. He wants your insight on the new fraud guidelines. I turned to the stunned room, smoothing the front of my navy suit. Federal Judge Sarah Martinez, I corrected gently, my voice even but sharp enough to cut through the silence. Though I do appreciate your concern about my ability to speak with the Supreme Court, I only do so every other month or so. Richard. Blackwell had gone a shade paler than the marble. Walls, he stammered. Yes, I said with a smile. From the Bronx Supreme Court, 20 years ago. I was the youngest judge to be appointed to the Second Circuit after that. Your firm appears before me often, though you tend to send your junior partners instead. Catherine's perfect composure cracked. But you let us think you were staff. I did, I said smoothly. Consider it a lesson about judgment and the dangers of assumption. Now shall we join the reception? I believe Justice Williams is waiting. As I walked past the speechless Blackwells, Maria caught my eye and discreetly gave me a thumbs up. I winked back, already making a mental note to recommend her daughter for our court's internship program. James joined me as we entered the main hall, his robe brushing against my sleeve. You knew this would happen, he murmured. Sometimes, I said, straightening his collar, people need to learn their lessons in memorable ways. Besides, watching Richard Blackwell realize he's been patronizing the judge who'll preside over his firm's biggest case next week, that's priceless. And Catherine? James asked quietly. That depends, I said, on whether she learns from this. Though I suspect she'll need more than one lesson about judging people by appearances. Justice Williams greeted me with open arms. Sarah, brilliant work on the Martinez case. Simply brilliant. Tell me, how did you anticipate the corporate structure loophole? I smiled, aware of the Blackwell's stunned silence behind me. Actually, Bill, that insight came from my early days cleaning courtrooms as a night janitor while putting myself through law school. Sometimes the best understanding of justice comes from seeing how it affects people at every level of society. A hush of admiration rippled through the crowd. Behind me, I heard Catherine whisper to her father, voice trembling. Daddy, I think I made a terrible mistake. Indeed you did, I thought, taking a glass of champagne from a passing tray. But perhaps there's still hope for you yet. After all, I didn't become a federal judge by believing people can't change. The next hour played out like a quiet symphony of awkward revelations. Richard Blackwell, who had spent months boasting about his daughter's engagement to new legal royalty, now stood drenched in sweat as his peers connected the dots. Senior partners approached me with cautious smiles, their voices tight with apology. Judge Martinez, one said, trembling slightly. We had no idea you were James's mother. Richard has been unusually modest. Has he? I asked, smiling. How unlike him, especially given his passionate objections during the Winston case. The senior partner stiffened. Everyone knew Richard had abandoned that very case after losing his first argument before me. Across the room, Catherine hovered by the wall, her confidence crumbling. The same young women who had once followed her lead now fawned over James, eager to align themselves with the son of a federal judge. She caught his arm, desperation in her eyes. James, please, I need to explain. Explain what, Kate? He asked quietly, his tone sharp and steady like mine in court. Explain how you told your friends my mother couldn't afford a decent dress for the reception, or how you said I should distance myself from my embarrassing background to fit into your world. I didn't know. That's worse, James said firmly. You didn't know she was a judge, so you thought it was fine to treat her like she was beneath you. What does that say about how you treat the people who actually are? Maria passed by again, tray in hand, her proud smile catching mine for just a second. And in that moment, I knew the lesson had landed exactly where it needed to. Catherine's face flushed as she recognized her from the countless times she'd snapped at her during previous events. Catherine's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide her growing distress. James, please, we can fix this. Fix what? A new voice joined the conversation. Margaret Blackwell, Catherine's mother, arrived with the precise timing of someone who'd been waiting for the right moment to pounce. Catherine, darling, we need to discuss damage control. Do you realize half the judges in this room have heard about your little kitchen incident? I decided to take pity on them or perhaps set up an even more valuable lesson. Mrs. Blackwell, I turned from my conversation. Perhaps we should discuss this somewhere more private. The donors' lounge should be empty. The Blackwells followed me like condemned prisoners to their sentence. Once inside the luxurious lounge, Margaret immediately went on the offensive. Judge Martinez, surely we can come to an understanding. Richard's firm has several major cases pending in your court. Are you attempting to negotiate with a federal judge, Mrs. Blackwell? I kept my voice milled, but both women palled because that would be highly inappropriate, wouldn't it? I didn't mean. No, I said softly. You never mean it, do you? You never mean to be cruel to service staff or to judge people based on their perceived social status or to teach your daughter that human worth is measured by bank accounts and family connections. Catherine sank into a leather chair. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know it doesn't help, but I am truly sorry. Actually, I took a seat across from her. It does help, but only if it's the beginning of real change, not just damage control. Margaret remained standing, her perfectly manicured hands clasped tightly. What do you want from us? Want? I raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Blackwell, I have everything I could want. A fulfilling career, a wonderful son, and a satisfaction of knowing you earn every step of my success. The question is, what do you want for your daughter? Catherine looked up, mascara slightly smudged. What do you mean? I mean, do you want her to continue believing that worth is measured by designer labels and social connections? Or do you want her to understand what real strength and character look like? I don't understand, Margaret began, but Catherine interrupted. You want me to work for it? She said slowly. Like you did, like James does. I smiled, seeing perhaps the first genuine insight from her all evening. My first job was cleaning courtrooms at night. Know what I learned there? That the person emptying your trash bin at 2 a.m. might be studying for the bar exam. That the server you snapped at might have a daughter in law school. That character isn't inherited with trust funds. It's built through understanding and respecting every person's dignity. But what can I do? Catherine asked. And for the first time, I heard real desperation to learn in her voice. Well, I said the Legal Aid Society is always looking for volunteers. And I believe the courthouse daycare center needs reading tutors for the children of defendants who can't afford childcare during their trials. Margaret gasped. Catherine can't possibly. I'll do it. Catherine cut in both programs. And I'd like to apologize to Maria and all the other staff I've been horrible to. Catherine, her mother protested. No, Mother. Catherine stood, straightening her spine. Judge Martinezzi's right. I've been awful. We all have. And if I want to deserve someone like James, I need to become someone worthy of respect, not just someone who demands it. I study her face, seeing perhaps the first crack in the perfectly crafted social facade. You know, this won't be easy. Your friends won't understand. Your parents' social circle will talk. Let them, Catherine said firmly. I'd rather be known for doing something meaningful than for being mean to people who serve me drinks. Margaret sank into a chair looking shell-shocked. Your father will never understand. Then perhaps I suggested it's time for Mr. Blackwell to spend some time in his firm's pro bono department. I heard they're terribly understaffed. As we turned to the reception, I watched Catherine walk straight to Maria and asked for a moment of her time. The apology wasn't perfect. Years of ingrained superiority don't disappear in one evening, but it was a start. James appeared at my elbow. You're giving her a chance. I'm giving her an opportunity, I corrected. Whether it becomes a chance depends on what she does with it. And her father's cases in your court, Ismailed, will be heard with the same impartiality as show all cases. Though perhaps Mr. Blackwell might find himself with a surprising number of pro bono assignments in the coming months. As the reception wound down, I watched Catherine help the staff clear glasses, her designer dress slightly wrinkled, but her smile more genuine than I'd ever seen it. Sometimes I thought the best judgments aren't made from the bench. 3 months after the reception, I sat in my chambers reviewing case files when my clerk announced an unexpected visitor, Catherine Blackwell. She looked different. Gone were the designer labels and perfectly coiffed hair. Instead, she wore a simple blazer and her hands show slight calluses from actual work. Judge Martinez, she started, then corrected herself. Zara, I wanted to show you something. She placed a folder on my desk. Inside were thank you letters from the children at the courthouse daycare center, where she'd been spending her mornings reading to them. Photos showed her sitting cross-legged on the floor, helping kids with homework, while their parents attended court proceedings. Maria's daughter got accepted to law school, Catherine said quietly. I've been helping her prepare for the LSAT between my legal aid shifts. She's brilliant. She just needed someone to believe in her. I nodded, noting the absence of her usual makeup and the new confidence that had replaced her social armor. And your father? Catherine's laugh held a touch of irony. He's discovering that pro bono cases can be surprisingly fulfilling. Last week, he helped a homeless veteran reclaim his pension benefits. I've never seen him so excited about a legal victory, and it wasn't even for a paying client. And your mother? She's adjusting, Catherine smiled. She joined the Courthouse Daycare Cent's fundraising committee, though she did insist on teaching the children proper table etiquette alongside their reading lessons. I set down the folder. And you? Are you finding what you're looking for? Catherine's expression turned serious. I found something I didn't know I was missing. Purpose, real connections. The children don't care about my last name or my handbag collection. They care that I show up, that I listen, that I help. And James, her face softened. He was right to be disappointed in me that night, but he's proud of me now. Not because I'm trying to impress his mother, the federal judge, but because I'm finally becoming someone he can respect. I studied her carefully. The entitled socialite who tried to hide me in the kitchen was gone, replaced by someone who understood the value of earned respect. My old friends don't understand, she continued. They think I'm having some sort of breakdown spending time with those people. But for the first time, I'm not worried about what they think. Because you've learned what really matters. Because I've learned who really matters, she corrected. The mothers working 3 jobs to support their kids through school. The courthouse staff who know every judge's coffee preference but never get thanked. The public defenders fighting impossible odds with impossible case loads. I smiled, remembering my own journey from nighttime janitor to federal judge. And what's next for the new Catherine Blackwell? She straightened in her chair. I've applied to work as a public defender after graduation. Father nearly had a heart attack. He already had my corner office at the firm picked out. But I want to earn my own way, make my own mark. It won't be easy, I warned. The pay is low, the hours are long, and the work is heartbreaking. I know, she said simply. But thanks to that night in the kitchen, I finally understand that the hardest paths often lead to the most meaningful destinations. As Catherine left my chambers, I thought about power and privilege, about kitchens and courtrooms, about the lessons taught in unexpected moments. James appeared in my doorway. Mom, ready for lunch? Let me guess. Catherine told you she was coming. He grinned. She wanted you to know the lesson stuck. That she's changed. No, I corrected, gathering my robes. She's changing. And that's even better because it means she's doing it for herself, not for us. As we walked to lunch, passing Maria's daughter studying law books in the courthouse library, I remembered another young woman who'd once cleaned these halls while dreaming of something more. Sometimes the best verdicts are the ones that transform lives rather than just judge them. And sometimes the biggest changes start in the smallest places, like a kitchen at a law school reception, where an entitled young woman learned that true worth isn't about where you stand, but how you treat those around you.